Hey guys, it's your boy Wolf back at it again. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I'd been planning to do this for a while. Um, and I guess the death of Hulk Hogan kind of motivated me to finally go through with this. There's a couple of reasons why I held off doing this for a while. First, I haven't really had a drink in almost an entire year. I don't really, I'm not counting, I'm not doing 12 steps, I'm not doing anything like that. I'm not like proud, announcing it to everyone. It just is what it is. I just found that the desire to drink really wasn't there anymore. And, I used to never get hangovers, but at the last like 2 or 3 years, they've been horrible, despite the fact that I drink really not a lot. So I think that had a lot more to do with it than wanting to just stop drinking. So that played a role into it. Second, these were extremely hard to find. Hogan's was you could find maybe they sell like these six make your own six packs, and you might be able to find one here or there to mix in with your pack, but haven't really found much. And then after his death, obviously it has been an absolute lawlessness. Everyone's been buying the beer. I had to go to two stores to find this. And I thankfully I found it. However, I had to buy a 12 pack. So if there's anyone in the Western New York area who wants 11 cans of real American beer, shoot a comment and maybe we could work something out. The other reason is because last time I bought beer, which was maybe 2 years ago, because I'm not much of a beer drinker, I was more of a hard liquor guy. I could never find Steve Austin's drink. So I think that that being available along with this, I originally just wanted to do a review, but since both were available, I decided to do a side by side. Um, I have no idea how similar these are. I don't even know if they're the same thing. But I got the Steve Austin. Oh, that's going to be a difficult thing. But here, I got the Steve Austin American Lager, and then I got the Hulk Hogan Real American Light Beer. So I don't know if these are actually similar or not. Um, but they both had the word American in it. So I decided, let's just roll with it. Let's just run with it. Hopefully they're the same thing. Um, I think they are. The Real American Beer actually doesn't say a lot on it. Um, Actually, it does, but the problem is, and I know I see it's going to blur it all out because of the fact that the color of the font on this is the same color as the actual can itself. So outside of the real American part, you can kind of see when I turn it, there's font there, there's text there, but you can barely read it. So I have no idea what this is. The Steve Austin one, I think's packaged a little better. So just based on first look, I'm gonna give that one to Steve Austin. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna have a running counter, probably right here, as I always do. I have something up here that's going to give us a running tally of what I prefer. And then at the end, I'll do a conclusion where we talk about which one won and why. So first, let's talk about the cost. In Western New York, a 12 pack of real American beer was $12.99 prior to tax. Steve Austin's American IPA was a 4 pack for $10.99. So I'm trying to see here. I didn't actually look to see how many ounces this is. It says it's 1 pint, whereas this I think is just 12 ounces, maybe. Yeah, 12 fluid ounces. So you get a little more with the Steve Austin beer, but you only get a 4 pack. So and they aren't that much different, like side by side. Like you can see it's not my camera's gonna suck with this, but you can see that it's not that much different. So first thing, just based off cost, if I was a boozer, I would have loved the fact that you get a 12 pack for 12.99, 4 pack for 10.99, no matter how big it is. I'm not a fan of that. So round one goes to Real American Beer. Next, this is going to be a non-judgment round, just because I personally don't really care. I've never cared. Don't know, but I know it matters to some people, and it's the color of the beer as you pour it. Not an expert in it. I know that it has something to do with oxidization, flavor. But for light beers, I expect a crisp yellow versus, a Pilsner or a malt or anything like that, which is going to be darker, a stout, which will be black. So I got two clear glasses, which looks like it's going to give us some difficulty with the camera, but I'll do the best I can with it. And so let's do the Steve Austin Broken Skull American Lager. Smells like a beer. It smells like honestly, it smells like Michelob. Um, which was my grandpa's favorite beer was Schmidt's, but that became hard to find, and he moved to Light and then Mick Ultra. So I'm gonna pour this, and I am not a pourer, so you'll have to bear with me. I'm trying to pour it in a way, and this camera. There you go. So you got a nice head on it. It's a nice, clear, crisp yellow. That's about what I expect. I actually did a pretty good job pouring this, I think. I don't know. You guys tell me in the comments. But I like the fact that I got a nice head on that. It looks clear. It looks crisp. This really doesn't have a smell at all. Hogan's Real American Beer. It's got a faint smell. Like it does smell a lot like the Steve Austin beer, which makes me think that I am on the right track with these two. Just based on smell, they both smell similar, but the Real American Beer smells like Steve Austin's beer diluted with water. So I may be actually judging this because that is usually not a good sign. Usually, if the smell is dull or it's not even there at all, it's a sign that it's not really strong. But this is a light beer in comparison. I don't think Steve Austin's is light at all. If I could actually read the label of Real American Beer, I'd give you the caloric content, but whatever. So here we go. We're gonna pour. Oops, I poured it all over. That's already off to a bad start. All right. So I made a mess. So I'm gonna have to clear that up. But you can see this is darker than oh, this is not made for camera. So anyways, like you got a pretty good sight of it. It's darker. It's got a nice head. I did a really good job pouring these outside of just making a fucking mess in my house over it. My wife's gonna kill me because as I'm moving as I'm moving my microphone, you guys might be having a hard time hearing me, but my wife is probably going to be pissed because this is where she puts her laptop information and stuff, and she hates beer. She hates the smell of beer, she hates everything about it, and I kind of just got beer all over the place. So, uh if you don't hear from me anytime soon, know that it was a good life and I did the best I could. So now let's talk about taste. And there's two things that I like about taste is the actual taste of it and the aftertaste. Is there an aftertaste? Is it bad, good? Is it strong? Is it bitter? I don't like bitter beer. That's just something I've never really been into. So that's why I never really got into like the Guinnesses and the stouts. I mean, I did Irish car bombs back in the day, which is, the Guinness, and it had the shot of the Jameson and the Irish cream that you would drop in the Baileys and you would drop it in and chug it. It's almost like a Jaeger bomb, but it's Irish car bomb, which, the same thing. So I don't like that store stuff. So I like my beer to be smooth, crisp, and not a lot of aftertaste. So we're gonna start this with the Steve Austin Broken Skull beer. Uh, as my friend Steve Cruz would say, see it, clink it, drink it. Here's to you guys. So I think this is pretty good. Um, it's got a little bit of an aftertaste, but it's not strong. It's not bitter. I really, really am gonna say that this is just like Mick Light. Um, Not Mick Ultra. Mick Ultra has its taste all on its own. I can't really describe it. But this is Michelob, Mick Ultra, like or Mick Light. I would put the Broken Skull American Lager in that category. All right. So let's go with the real American beer. One thing I want to point out before I drink the real American beer is that it's bubbling really, really cool. Like it's a darker beer. So I don't know if it's just because it's darker that I can see the bubbles more prominently. But the Steve Austin beer is basically just looks like yellow water. Let me see if I can get this close. My camera hates this, so I'm just not gonna do it. I'm sorry, guys. If I had better technology, I would definitely be better with this. Unfortunately, I'm doing this all free, and so I'm doing it with the best I got. So let's take a look at, or let's take a sip of the real American beer. I can't taste anything. No, there's nothing. This is just like fizzy. I think my comparison with the smell also is very much with the flavor. Um, I can't taste anything. I honestly wish I could give you a better grade of this, but it literally just tastes like diluted beer. If they took the Steve Austin beer, just dumped a bunch of water with it, I think you would get this. Yeah, nothing. I thought there would be something stronger to it, but there's really no taste to the real American beer. Um, Honestly, I might take back that 12 pack 11 can request because I could probably knock these out and not really taste anything, not really feel like I'm beered out. Um, I don't know if that's what they were going for, because I think this is 4.2% alcohol by volume, and the Steve Austin one is, God, these cans are fucking hard to read. I'm looking now, and I don't really see, oh, 4.8% alcohol by volume. So less alcohol for the real American beer, really doesn't taste like anything. I feel like they're selling this so you drink all 12 and you'll drink more. So I think they're going for the quantity over the quality because I think I would be beered out after all four of Steve Austin's beer because it's got that very much beer's taste. I actually really like it because, like I said, my grandpa switched to Mick Light and Mick Ultra. And when I went out with him back in the day, like my 21st birthday, maybe a little on the side there, but he and I would drink Mick Lights and Mick Ultras together. So the Broken Skull one very much reminds me of sitting back and drinking with my grandpa. And that's good. Um, that's a category I didn't even think of adding was just like nostalgia, if there is any, just from drinking these. And Steve Austin really, really made me feel nostalgic right here. And I haven't felt that in a very long time, especially when it comes to drinking. Usually I drink to forget things. Just being completely real with you. I don't drink alcohol for taste. Usually it's like, give me a shot of double shot of whiskey, give me, vodka and seltzer, something like that. It's to get hammered. It's not meant to sit back and just enjoy a like tasty beverage. Um, but in terms of actual taste, it's got to be Steve Austin's. Real American don't taste like anything, unfortunately. Um, I guess the good thing is there was no aftertaste either. Um, but my final point of, or my final count, and if we're keeping track, just for sanity's sake, so I can put it up in the grid I'm running. So we did price point is Real American beer, and then taste Steve Austin's beer, aftertaste Steve Austin's beer. I'll even add the one where it's gives me like good memories, good nostalgia. Also Steve Austin's beer. And so the question now is, which beer do I want to finish right now? And I'm going to finish both. So don't get me wrong. I'm going to try to get my money's worth out of all these. Now that I know that I've drank them, I don't mind drinking the rest of them. I feel like the real American beer is going to sit, in my house a lot longer because I'm not drinking 12. I just can't do it. My stomach will probably flip on me and it'll probably revolt. So I'm going to drink the rest of the Steve Austin beer. It might take me a while because it's a little more ounces. Ooh, I wish the camera worked well because I just poured a really nice cup of beer. There it is. Look at that. That is a very nice cup, like pour right there. I'm gonna drink it. I'm gonna enjoy it. Yeah, that's good. I really like Steve Austin's beer. It might make a beer drinker out of me. So Steve Austin, man, you did good. You did good. I'm honestly very pleased with the Steve Austin beer. The Hogan beer, God bless them, they tried, but it's really just kind of really watered down beer. Um, it says it's light beer, but it's light in flavor, light in taste, light in everything. The only good thing about it is price per number of cans is way better. So in conclusion, my winner, Steve Austin's American Lager, Broken Skull American Lager. Very good beer, very tasty beer, very nostalgic beer. And that's really what I look for in a beer. I'm gonna finish this one, and so I want to end with this. Now that I've gotten this all out of the way and I'm reviewed and enjoying a tasty beverage, as Stone Cold will say, I just want to give a note about Hulk Hogan. I want to end with speaking about Hogan. Um, the man was problematic, and I don't think anyone, even his closest friends, could admit that he wasn't. But most celebrities, we can separate the character from the person. There's Hulk Hogan, and then there's Terry Bollea. And when you think about a lot of the different people in the world, like the Jerry Lee Lewises, the Michael Jacksons, we can't deny that they made a major contribution, not just to their own genre, but to pop culture as a whole. I think there's a level that the real person can go before we start saying like, "Wow, that really is bad." I don't want to talk about him, but Chris, you know who, and the double murder suicide. I think that's something that you really can't come back from. I think that bleeds through because that's especially when your character is so like intense and it's kind of bleeds into where you blend in the reality and the character to where you could see the character also being the person and then finding out when they do something like that. It just makes it hard to get over that. But Hulk Hogan the person or Terry Bollea the person, he's problematic. He had his issues. I've heard people say great things about him. I've heard people say terrible things about him. I've never personally met him. I've met people who've met him, and it's pretty split on who really liked him and didn't like him. I am friends with people who helped break him into the business, and they also, it could go either way. Some people are like, oh, he was, he really wanted to. Other people were like he was more interested in juicing and getting gassed up and really not taking to heart actual pro wrestling. Whatever, I don't care. Um, but we can't deny that Hulk Hogan made wrestling pop culture. Wrestling was regional, territorial. I don't like saying the smoke filled halls. It was a major sporting event, but it was based on the area you lived in. Hulk Hogan took everything. He was the face of that national expansion. He was the face of pop culture. He was the first pro wrestler on Sports Illustrated's cover. We can't deny these things that he did. Um, and to be honest, I'm in no position to gauge his colorful language, his termination. I know I would never do that. I know I don't agree in principle on that, but there are people that are more, I guess, who've experienced it and, can really speak more on that language that he used. I know that Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, I was a Hogan fan from 1987 to 1989. That is until he had lust in his eyes and I suddenly became a Macho Man fan. Even after Macho Man became a bad guy, even when he started becoming the Macho King, I blamed Hulk Hogan for that. I said, Hulk Hogan, because you are Lust Hogan and you had lust in your eyes, you ruined Macho Man Randy Savage. Thank God he finally came back to Liz, and WrestleMania 7 had one of the best feel good moments ever. Little diversion there, but all the same, we can't say that Hulk Hogan didn't have a big cultural impact. His rematch with Andre the Giant at the main event still ranks as the most watched American wrestling event ever. I don't have the number directly in front of me. Someone can Google it and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was around 37 million people tuned in to that match. That's a number that'll never be broken. Obviously, with wrestling and social media and digital and how people consume not just TV but sports and wrestling in general, it's just a number that won't be beat. And plus, viewership now is completely different. You can watch something on YouTube multiple times and it'll add view counts to it. So we really can't judge anymore. It's apples and oranges at this point. But still, that is an insanely impressive number that that many people tuned in to watch one single match. And then prior to that, you had the WrestleMania 3. I don't care what the real attendance was. It was a lot of goddamn people in there. It was a lot of people there. A lot of people watched it, and it was because of Hogan and Andre. So we can't deny either of those events. We cannot deny Hulk Hogan's place in history in professional wrestling and in pop culture. We can debate Terry Bollea, the person, until the end, but what matters to me is this: did he make wrestling better? Despite all his faults, flaws, and creative controls, in the end, Hogan made wrestling bigger and possibly as big as it'll ever be. Like I said, there was a lot of people watching that. A lot of people credit the Attitude Era, but without Hogan walking, Steve Austin couldn't run. Rock couldn't run. So it's just one of those things. It's just the fact of life. We can say he was a terrible person. We can say he sucked as a human being, and we're probably somewhat correct. But you can't deny the fact that he absolutely left professional wrestling better than it was prior to his joining. As he always loved to say, Hulk Hogan truly was what he said he was. He was immortal. Until next time, that's all there is. There isn't any more, except I'm going to finish this tasty beverage. Take care.